What's in Will's Walkman at the moment? What are you listening to? What's
okay. Walkman wise. So honestly, I have been really into country music right now. Mate, it's caught me by surprise. Morgan Wallen, Chris Stapleton, Alabama. It's like a bunch of country music these days. But other than that, mate, nothing obviously makes me happier in life than a bit of Purple Disco Machine. I think honestly their beats, their tunes, has always put me in a good mood. It just fills me with good memories.
So are we going to see some new entrance music?
No. Elevated rocks the house. Like I got a story for you actually. So like I was on the Jericho cruise, and the guys that sung Cody Rhodes' song, they approached me. Well, not them, like one dude in particular that I don't even know is actually part of the band, but he was drunk out of his mind and it was just like, if you ever need a theme song, let us know. We're approachable.
Wow.
So I was like,
okay.
Wow, ballsy, but like, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Like, do great stuff. Love your work, but I love Elevated too much.
Yeah. People really into it as well. You get good crowd response.
Oh, mate, and it was only funny because I only figured out that there's like a section in there where like there's a crowd that could chant along. Because I've had that song since 2017. So there's a section in there that I didn't even know even existed until like I wrestled. I think it was Kenny in the Tokyo Dome, and I like heard it being. I had a moment of going like, wait, this isn't the song. Like, I never got to that part.
Amazing. We've seen Cope put a timeline on his career. I mean, you're still young, but is that something you're beginning to think about, kind of your longevity now?
Like hanging up the boots? A little bit. Like, I think constantly about being a postman. Like, I really think so often about just being this little blip. Just like, I put on these incredible matches that people enjoyed, I rocked the house, and then by the time my contract with AEW ends, I just leave wrestling and just become a postman. Like, I generally think every now and again I'd pop over to New Japan and I'd wrestle for them just for the and giggles and just for fun. But just for myself, I do think what life looks like without wrestling, and it kind of fascinates me a little bit to know what that looks like, but no time soon.
And why postman?
I love nothing more than the idea of just waking up in the morning, having my Royal Mail post van, got all these parcels that need delivering, just going out and petting people's dogs. And when you Will Ospreay, what used to be postman now,
spreading the joy.
Mate, I look at like vlogs of postman, and I just think he looks really happy. Like, you know, he looks no stress on his mind whatsoever.
Simple life. You've never like hidden who you are in terms of being a wrestler. You haven't had kind of maybe Lucha Britannia, but you've never had a kind of a gimmick. Was that important to you, being kind of yourself?
Kind of yes and no, because like I never really thought of wrestling in terms of like a business metric, in terms of like characters and how characters sell more merch and etc, right? I just enjoyed wrestling. I enjoyed the athleticism side of things, and I think at one stage when I was watching the Japanese side of things, like not many people were characters, they were just like personalities for me. So I kind of leaned more towards that side, but then when I started like getting into wrestling, like personalities are characters in a strange sense. And I only think I really found who I am when I became kind of like a bad version of myself, because it was almost like the pandemic shut a lot of things down. I went home and I hang out with all my like naughty Essex mates that were like builders by day, and then by the weekend we're doing like some of the worst things imaginable, and I just hang out with them, and then I was like, oh, this is actually how I talk. Like I would hide how I would usually talk around the wrestlers, because I wanted to appear respectful, and I wanted to appear like I had manners, and I do, but like when I'm around my like mates and like the boys, like bruv comes out and like, yes mate, how you doing? Like I go into my little Essex area, and I realise like a lot of people from my area don't actually go into like a global stage. Like you never see Essex boys over in Japan, you never see Essex boys over on TV stations in America. So I just started talking the way that I normally do, and everyone was just like, "Whoa, he's changed character." I was like, "I really haven't. I just started talking normally."
True to yourself, right? Had anybody suggested a gimmick to you ever that you didn't use?
I suggested gimmicks.
Okay.
At the time, I remember Greg Burridge telling me that you need something relatable that everyone can relate to. And at the time, I just enjoyed flipping, and I enjoyed doing like dance routines. So I suggested being part of a boy band. I think I suggested foreplay.
That would have been something.
Yeah, and Greg went, no.
We owe a lot to Greg.
So then he was just like, look, you're too good for that. You need to figure something else. And I guess Assassin's Creed worked, I guess.
Brilliant. I love that. That could have been very
I'll
different
keep
career.
foreplay in the background.
Yeah,
You know?
well, you never know. You could bring it out at some point. What pisses you off about wrestling the most?
When young men jump off of high sculptures,
Right.
and there's like 5 or 6 very well respected professional wrestlers, and they jump and they just crash and burn to the floor, and one of them is the only one that attempted to even catch him. That annoys me the most in wrestling, because obviously I'm referring to the thing that happened to Leon Slater, and I made a tweet about it and I deleted it because I didn't want to invite that discourse, but I think about it because I went backstage. I don't know what the accountability was for that moment, but just here's the things that go through my mind. And I come from a place, because I've actually hurt Leon before. I wrestled Leon Slater at Rev Pro, and I gave him a powerbomb, and I lifted him up, and I pulled him down, and he went to attack the match, but I pulled him too hard, and I dropped him on his head. And honestly, if the camera was ringside, because Andy uses like the hard camera, but I would have used the ringside. You hear me scream because I honestly thought I killed this kid. I've never felt worse before in my life. And after that moment, I sent him money because I was just kind of like, I could have really done you a lot of damage there. And so I was like, please go get, even if it's an MRI or if it's a sports massage, because I felt like a level of guilt that I didn't take care of my opponent in that moment. And there are instances where you can take care of your opponent, there are instances where you can't. In that moment, it's such a difficult thing to catch. It really is, especially a 450, but 15 feet in the air, there's 6 of you. They're one of the things where I just go, look, I don't know any accountability, and I know all of them, they're great professional wrestlers, they're wonderful human beings, and the main thing. But just that is atrocious in my mind. That is something that I feel so bad for Leon, because in my mind, right, I know deep down Leon is young, he's going to bounce back from that, and I've been in that same position where I've jumped off of something and no one's caught me. His money isn't getting any bigger, he isn't getting any more money for those type of things, and all those wrestlers are like stars. Maybe 1 or 2 not, but a lot of them making a good chunk of change. If that would have been the end of him, if that would have been bam and he broke his ribs and he's done, he ain't getting any more money for that. So stuff like that, that's what annoys me in wrestling. It's just kind of like, if you know that someone is up there and it is a scary high, you don't need to have your arms wide open to catch them, but you just need to stop their momentum. And I know that's going to make a lot of news articles, are going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm not doing it in a case to shame those wrestlers at all. But I want it to be this should be a lesson. This should be this should be taught in classes. This should be there should have been just more care taken of that wrestler, because he's young, he'll bounce back from it. But what if that would have gone terribly wrong? But once again, I don't know the accountability of what happened backstage. That's what Moose said in his tweet, and that's what made me go, you know what? I don't want to invite this discourse to Twitter today. It done a number on me, and I know Leon's fine, and Leon doesn't want to make a big deal out of things. I'm sure not, but just in those moments, I've been that guy in that situation where people drop me. I didn't get any extra money. I'd done it for the love of the game, and trust for the boys. That's the one thing I don't like about wrestling.
You've talked before about Jericho, say talking to you about the spots that you do and the risk that's involved. would you have a similar conversation with Leo? Do you think that was kind of almost too risky, given, or are those spots what helps make people?
I think they help make people. I mean, like those moments in time where like you are standing on the edge of your seat and you are going like, please make it out alive and please. And when they do, they're almost become like legendary. They're looked upon as just kind of like indestructible, and the kid is. And the one thing I will say is like, I think Leon is at that age. He's like 21 right now, right? Leagues above me when I was 21, like leagues and leagues and leagues, and just moments like that, it just makes me fearful of like if they didn't catch him. Like I like when I'd done the moonsault and I had Kyle and I had all those guys looking after me. Like I mean, like I trust Kyle for catching me in those moments, right? But in that moment, I would just say, pick something where you are safe, like. That's it. All those wrestlers like Matt Cardona, Moose, that AJ, and strangely enough, that AJ, who's top dollar once upon a time, he gets a lot of shit online. He gets a lot of shit. He was the only one that actually attempted to grab him. So this is a real pet peeve of mine, and to see it play out on such a big stage like Rebellion, it was one of those ones where like, you guys should know better.
Yeah, fair. The pictures look scary. Spoke to Brian Danielson last week, who was saying he's on the AEW disciplinary committee, and it made me think, have you ever been involved in any wrestlers' courts, or you've got any stories of being involved in them?
No, not wrestlers' courts, but like what I will say is when I was coming up in New Japan, I was such a pain in the ass when it comes to like my social media, or just really immature behaviour, and no one ever called me out about it, and I think I needed people to like pull me in a room and just like a group of lads to be like, oi, like either like tell me off or say to like, hey, you done this here, right? This is why it's pissed people off, because a lot of the time I'm oblivious. I'm only aware of myself in some instance, and I never thought about other people, and like until someone brings it up to me, I can't rectify the things that I've done wrong. And I remember there was a time when Rocky Romero called me up, and Rocky Romero was like the great bridge between like New Japan and the foreigners. Like they were real good at like communicating. And I remember Rocky telling me, like, it was during the pandemic, hey, it's now or never. You need to grow up now. Like he's seen so many wrestlers that were super talented, that had all the tools to become these amazing wrestlers, but because they were just immature or arseholes or whatever the case was, they couldn't reach the successes that they should have done. And that was a real slap in the face to me, because I had a moment of saying, who do I actually want to present to people that have supported me throughout all the years? Do I want to present this immaturity, or do I want to finally be the guy that I really want to be? And I'm so grateful that he done those type of conversations with me. But more importantly, I'm grateful to like the wrestling community for allowing me like chance after chance to like rectify any moments of my immaturity and to show the man that I am today. Because I look behind me and I'd see the big face on the O2, and I can't believe how lucky I am, because I think 5 odd years ago, I think a lot of people were wanting my head in British wrestling, and now it is just a case of like they've seen me mature in front of their eyes, and it's like a combination of just the boys coming home. Do you know what I mean?
And are you now the Rocky Romero in the locker room? Do you feel that responsibility?
No, I don't ever, like, if anyone ever comes and bugs me for advice, like I'd give it my best that I can, but I still feel like I'm learning and I'm figuring out stuff, especially in AEW. There's so many moving parts. Like, I find myself going to people like Jerry Lynn to like understand the metrics of wrestling, but in terms of just like genuine adult conversations, I had a wonderful conversation with Dax a little while ago, and I wouldn't think me and him would be like this, like having like a chat that what we were having a chat about, but he really helped me understand a lot of like deep insecurities that I have within me and stuff that I don't think I can tell to the boys, because we only see each other once a week. We're not on the road like I was in New Japan. Like I can confide in the boys like emotional things and personal things. This is the first time I actually had like a genuine conversation with a guy, and he really made me feel comfortable in my own skin. Amazing.
It's good. Like, it's good. It sounds very supportive. obviously Forbidden Door is coming up. Are there any potential matches that you're excited about, or are you kind of producing in your head a card of potential matches?
There's so many, and it's because of the beautiful partnership that we do have with New Japan and now with like CMLL. I start like trying to think of like what would be the match that would draw a lot of people towards me. There's one match in particular that's like in my brain, and it's only because of the history behind the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, and like I have a deep connection not only with New Japan but with AEW now. It's like 2 months off, but 10 years ago I wrestled Okada in Reading. It's the first time I ever wrestled him, and I'd like to revisit that because it has been such a one-sided field where I think he's got 9 wins and I've got 2. And I think that's something where like I'd really like to revisit that 10 years ago. Another one, obviously, if we're going to go down the New Japan route, is a classic one would be me and Zach to do it at such a such a giant facility where all of our matches have been in like either Japanese arenas or very intimate York Hall. So there's that one. But like something that obviously has been really like intriguing me a lot recently is me and Gabe Kidd. I feel like that could be like really but the animosity that we both bring, I think we would need a censor button constantly, but I think that is definitely like a South versus North thing that a lot of people would enjoy. But I'm more just open to anything and everything, because like if everything goes my way, like I think this is gonna be like a really important moment for me, and I just want one of the biggest matches that you can have.
And given your history in New Japan, if you were talking to the AEW locker room about what to expect from a New Japan match or New Japan talent, what are the kind of tips that you would give them of things to kind of look out for or expect?
Just the pacing is a lot different. I would say AEW has found itself in a position with TV wrestling where the foot is on the gas pedal constantly, and with New Japan it's more explosive. So they take those short bursts of explosivity, which makes the match that little bit more dramatic. And then when it comes down, it's all about the emotion and like the exchanges, like going blow for blow with guys, that make their matches way more meaningful. And I think the one thing that a lot of AEW could learn from New Japan is presentation. The way that they present their wrestling show is leaps and bounds over any wrestling show going. Like I'm very much along the lines of I don't like camera cuts in wrestling, especially during a sequence or on an impact of moves. I'm along the lines of, hey, if you're right, so the name is AEW, right, All Elite Wrestling, right? If you actually are signed to this company, right, that middle letter is very important, right? Because you're an elitist, right? You're of the elite of wrestling. If you miss a super kick, or if you miss a splash or something like that, that's on you. That's not on the button pusher. And I feel like the button pusher's job is to try and like cover those marks, and that's not on you. Keep the action super tight with me and keep the presentation in the ring. I hate the hard cam. I've always hated the hard cam. I hate the moment that it goes towards the hard cam in both mine and any other professional wrestling. The moment it goes to hard cam, I feel so detached from wrestling. I feel like the cameras are ringside for a reason, so you can get any bit of like emotion and any bit of drive, and I love that style more.
That makes sense. You talked in the last interview we did was before Wembley. You said that you were, in terms of Forbidden Door, looking at Ricochet because this was prior to his move, which now has happened. Is there someone from maybe any of the other promotions, or someone now that you've got your eye on who you'd love to see come through a Forbidden Door and
one that's associated with Forbidden Door? Or?
Up to you. Could be one out plus another.
Honestly, just because we're on the topic of conversation, I would love Leon Slater to come to AEW. Right, okay. Just because I know deep down they have that connection and their partnership, and I'm very happy for them actually. Like not a lot of times will people say like other promotions like they're very happy for him, and I generally am happy for TNA for finding their feet, and I'm happy that Leon's a part of it, because I think at that young age he's like perfect to be in there with the X Division guys and having like the Hardy Boys as his mentor. I think that's really good for him. After that though, like I mean, look, Duke can be the TNA heavyweight champion for sure. Like in 3 years' time, for sure he could be. But like, I see so much more from him. Sorry, I see so much more like grander. Like I would love for him to go do like 5 years over in New Japan. I'll be honest with you, because I think he will just become a man in front of our eyes. And like I used to watch my young boy Callum, who's actually fighting for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Sunday, and like, I can't tell you how proud I am of him. Like I get emotional talking about it, because he's I met him when he was 15 years old, and like the fact that he's just grown into this man in front of me and he's going for a world title is truly breathtaking. But I used to watch him and Leon do stuff at Rev Pro all the time, and I was like, oh man, I just want to see you do it in Japan.
A final couple of questions. Callum had the tag titles and then I think I had to drop them. Were you frustrated for him for that?
No, angry for him in a sense of like that's an accomplishment that he really worked hard towards, and the fact that he had to just drop it because Jeff was leaving, it's like, it's upsetting, but it's also the business. And like, if you can't keep your talent, don't put belts on them. I would say that. But like for me, I think this is kind of like a stepping stone for him. I think there are way more things coming down the line for him, and I think this is only just the start. And I'm really excited to see what happens for him.
And is there like a wrestling kind of community camaraderie, like good feeling? Because I remember seeing you with Sasha Banks, who at that time was with as Sasha Banks at WWE before she came to AEW, having a chat kind of after your match at Wembley. And it made me think, is there generally a kind of camaraderie, respect between WWE talent, AEW talent, like the wrestling community, or is it more like a rivalry?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. Like I think deep down we know that WWE is like it's a machine, it's an animal. It's gonna be like they're in like giant stadiums and they're doing so good, but like a lot of people look at us and just go like, what, like we're doing it wrong because WWE are doing this, and it's just like, no, there's just different ways of doing it, hey. And like I happily say, yeah, I got into WWE when I was a kid, but like when I became like a teenager, I just thought it was lame. There were certain guys that I enjoyed, like Eddie Guerrero's one, Edge was another one, like Randy Orton's sick. But like after a while, I just was just like, this is so pantomiming, and like I always remember like when people would go like, especially coming up in wrestling, it was like less is more, and like, is it like, because I'm bored, like it's the same stuff, it's recycled and it's over and over again, and every now and again you get something cool like the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, like every now and again something like, whoa, that was sick, and like WWE are on fire now, but like I still as not only just a viewer but as a wrestler, I just don't enjoy it. I think like I haven't watched WrestleMania. Like what I've heard it wasn't the best Mania, in maybe like Io, Rhea and Bianca was the only sick match on there, which three of them are sick, right? They're three of the best wrestlers, period. But for me, I just never was a WWE guy. I respect it, and I respect the guys doing it. That schedule is like crazy, and I commend them all for doing it. I just didn't like it. I don't like the show. I don't like the style of wrestling. I don't like the presentation. It's got better. I love the one-shots that they've been doing, but I've never been a big fan of it. So that's why when like AEW came along and they went with more like the sports-based stylized of it, it was something that I could sink my teeth into. Like even right, this isn't sports-based at all, more presentation. When Hangman came out with the Dark Order by his side, like, you don't have to be a cowboy. I was like, that still to this day gives me goosebumps, because I thought like, that's how you take like a group of like, because the Dark Order are like, for me, a group of nobodies, like the misfits, and they told this beautiful story about coming together and the cowboy leading them and becoming cowboy. And I was just like, this this is sick. This is like, it's I don't want to use the word cinema, but it was like a beautiful movie that just portrayed right in front of our eyes, and I just couldn't believe that this is AEW. So like, I love that. I love the fact that they did different stuff like an exploding barbed wire death match. Like, I mean, look, it didn't go according to plan, but like, at least they're like daring to try those things. Like, and I think there's lessons. I think, honestly, if I want to be the next guinea pig for that match, I would happily volunteer myself to do an exploding barbed wire death match. But like, of course, like, I respect WWE, and I admire everyone there, and a lot of people think I hate Triple H, and I really don't. Like, I've no problem. I've never met the guy before in my life, but for me, there's always this little bit of rivalry where I'll just be like, yeah, you guys are the biggest, yeah, you guys are drawing the bigger houses, yeah, you guys got the bigger deals, but the moment the bell rings, I think we're better than all of them. Like, I think, honestly, on my worst day, I'm better than a lot of the guys in ring. In ring. Promo, you guys got like a bunch of guys. Punk's sick, Reigns is sick. There's still things that I need to catch up on. But in ring, I generally don't think there is anyone from that side that like matches any of our guys.